Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of All the Queen's Men. We're on season 4, episode 7, entitled Trick Daddy. Madam didn't get the concierge like I thought like I expected her to do. In turn, she did give him a little, nick, just a little, hey, I could have got you, but I didn't, type of reminder, gentle reminder. But he's certain that, hey, if she really wanted me gone, I would have been gone way before now. But he also tries to stunt a little bit and tells her, like, hey, I know you weren't going to unalive me because if you did, my family was going to come after you. And she reminds him, what family? What family? Your wife gone, your brother gone, your father-in-law gone. It's not much family left, but I'm gonna let you live. Either way, she reminds him, like, listen, you don't have much left by way of family, so I'm gonna do you a favor. He also knows, like, in the same breath, he also knows, like, hey, if she really, really, really wanted him gone, like I said, she would have done it by now. And he's like, well, since you're not here to do what you need to do, why are you here? And she tells him, like, hey, we're costing each other too much money, too much time, too much resources in this little back and forth game we got going on. And so I have a proposition for you. And she's like, listen, if you leave me and the people alone at my club, I will in turn forget that you even exist. I will pretend that I've never even met you. And essentially she's proposing a truce. Now I'm sure that there's a deeper motive there. I don't know if that's to get him to let down his guard for some greater attack, because when it came to the drugs being tampered with, I think she was telling Tommy or somebody that this is just phase 1 in her plan. So this might just be another part of the scheme when it comes to Madam. We'll see what happens. Either way, it appears that he took the lesser of the evils and decided, that's the best option for him to take at this moment. So maybe the truce is over after a season and a half. I don't believe it, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, Am goes to Maddie B's to finally talk things out with Tony, his mom, and she admits to having a ton to make up for, but neither of them knowing how they'll ever be able to make up for, both of their roles and how their relationship is. And then he asks her, like, hey, did you ever leave Dad after he told you to, shun me and never talk to me? She says, listen, I did leave him, long overdue. And then Am tells her, like, listen, I wondered why you didn't leave immediately after he told you to cut me off. Like, I'm your only son. I'm your only child. Like, what do you mean? And she's like, listen, I couldn't because he controlled the purse straps. Like, he controlled the money. He controlled me. There wasn't a easy way for me to get out. And Amp was like, listen, I'm not buying it. I don't buy that you have no other choices, because there are tons of mamas and caregivers out there that do this every day. They get it done by any means necessary. If that means you got cut off from all this access and you had to go work a traditional job, then that's what you needed to do, Mom. There's nothing, hell or high water, that would allow me to be cut off from my child. Now, the child thing is going to spin the block because y'all Dime is throwing up. I'm just skipping ahead on that. Dime is puking, and I just don't have time for it. Either way, he reminds her, like, this, I was a scared 19-year-old in prison with nobody to talk to, nobody that I could believe cared about me or gave a damn whether I lived or died. Like, it was a lot. And all she had to offer him was an apology. That's all you could potentially offer somebody in that situation. And it appears, fingers crossed, that he may have softened his heart towards her, a little bit after that conversation. Still some reservation, but we'll see, because we know Miss Tony is also there on an ulterior motive, and that might just set them even further back in their relationship. I doubt that whatever Tony's motive is against Matta is going to make Amp take Tony's side and then him be against Madam. She's done way too much for him. I can only foresee him being back at odds with Tony, because she's not, you can't miss what you didn't have. Girl, you haven't been there, so it's very hard. It's very easy to let you go. So, yeah. We see Blue, she's back at therapy, and she has not been so good since their last visit. She alludes to the fluffer being hard to let go of by way of Madam telling her to, put her in her apartment, make it look like, she just passed away in her sleep. We can't have that on our hands. And, that lady has been around the club for years, and she met that sort of demise. And so, again, it's taking a toll on Blue. So she had to go plant the girl at her home, like I said, because of that gas leak and how she ended up dying. And so the doctor recommends, she's trying to get more information about, like, what happened. Blue is using the examples and the euphemisms that this person was let go, and she has something to do with the person being let go, and I guess she's taking responsibility because her job is security. She didn't secure the club and the room, and that led to the gas leak, that type of thing. She's taking that sort of responsibility on herself, and so she can't give all this information without kind of giving up what she truly does. And so the doctor recommends some kind of unconventional therapy for Blue, as it may work better for her since she is resistant. Now, I don't remember if it was hypnosis or what the recommendation was, but we do know that Blue is missing in action at some point during the episode for whatever the treatment is, but it may come up in another episode, so I look forward to seeing what that treatment was. Okay. We see Fuego, and he's been tapping into cameras and trying to retrace what happened to Sarah for the last couple of episodes. He wanted to see what happened after Madam's people dropped the deceased Sandra off at his apartment. And he seems to be trying to track them down, kind of seeing where they ended up after they left him. And then Big D kind of shows up to kind of hang out, but Fuego is he's being weird. He's kind of asking questions about if Big D has ever unalived somebody, and then he tells Big D about them attempting to pin Sarah's death on him and her being R-worded and all of that before she was killed. And Big D is like, I can't let them get away with that. Now, them, help me in the comments. I don't know if them is the Black Bottom or Black Rock Boys, whatever it's called, the gang. I don't know if he means Madam and her cohorts. I'm not sure who he thinks he can get back at, whoever they are. But he tells Big D, like, hey, if you want to help me, I don't plan on letting them get away with it. So, I don't know. We're back on this thing where he might be the weakest link and the snitch. Don't know if you're going to have that many more chances with Madam to, play the cop games, but whatever. Here we are. All right. The receptionist, Naima, I call her a receptionist, but she's not a receptionist. She is a lab tech. She shows up to work the next day after showing her ass unwillingly at the club the night before by way of being drugged up by Doc. And Dia Davis and Rods confront her about how she acted last night. I guess it got back to them. And because of her erratic behavior, they had to run a tox screen on her. Not sure how they did a tox screen overnight. And how she wasn't aware. But whatever, we're in TV land, right? Either way, it came back as her having PCP in her system. So Doc did lace her drink with PCP, and that's what had her acting very much out of character. And her testing positive means that all of her cases are going to be called into question, as well as anything that's pending investigation. And Madam's case is going to fall under that umbrella. So that's going to call, their evidence and different things into, which could potentially get all those cases thrown out. Not limited to, but including Madam's case. So now Miss Naima is suspended, and Doc has done a good job of taking that evidence. He didn't have to physically get his hand on the shirt in order to kind of get, back into Madam's good graces and preserve himself. Okay. D.A. Rosa Davis is sitting there pondering over this thing, like, what are we going to do next? Like, that's going to come back to bite us. And so they decided, hey, nobody needs to know that the test results came back. So they continue pursuing Madam, and they kind of destroy the evidence because they're not going to let anybody find out that Naima tested positive for PCP. They're going to keep proceeding as previously planned, whether that's legal or not. Sure is illegal, but here is where we are. But they also don't want the ramifications of people coming out of the woodwork looking for new trials because their evidence may have been tainted. Just the whole whirlwind that could come of Naima, popping positive. So, yeah. Okay. Madam goes to see Tandy, and she wants to know what's the status of the eminent domain that I asked you about, the land next to Maddie B's. I'm not going to keep asking you, where's my stuff? And she's like, I'm still working on it. But there's too many eyes on me. I just became mayor. I can't be doing these type of favors just yet. And she's like, girl, I don't care nothing about that. And then she reminds Madam, like, yeah, I've also been subpoenaed for the upcoming trial. So I don't want the block to be too high. And she's like, well, ain't nothing to talk about because you know what to say, right? And she's like, yeah, okay, cool. You ain't got nothing to say. Also, there's some speeding tickets that I need you to get taken care of. Like, while she's there, like, hey, since you're there, go ahead and take care of these little minor errands, and I'll holler at you later. All right, Trouble shows up at the club after being suspended the night prior by Madam. she's outside, like, while the ladies are lined up trying to get their wristband scanned in to get into the club, and she's trying to make some money out on the side. She's trying to pick up like a little lady for a one-on-one time, to get her a little private party on, and ain't nobody biting. She's trying to make up for the suspension, and for being held captive. She's trying to make up that money, but it ain't really working. And so Babyface shows up to kind of gloat about her, and calls her broke. Rubbing in her face, and Trouble's like, oh yeah, we talking trash. Well, at least I ain't got no gay stalker. And he's like, what are you talking about? And so she has to tell him about Quincy stealing his underwear, and then the pictures of him in his locker, and everything that's going to come with that. So now we got Quincy and Babyface that are going to come to a head by the end of this episode. Just slight spoiler alert. All right, so Madam's lawyer, he goes to see her, and he tells her, like, hey, got good news. I was able to get an extension for the trial, but I need to speak with all your dancers and anybody on staff that has been subpoenaed to testify, because we got to make sure that they have their words together for the cross-examination, because they're going to come for them real hard. We need to make sure we, got everybody up to code on what they need to say, how much or how little, like, all of that needs to start happening. And so he needs her to lay low so she didn't get any new charges added on, because the lab tech, while an important move to her testing positive, it's just a small fry in the bigger pond of like D.A. Davis and Rods and, their unwavering pursuit in getting at her. And what you do see is where D.A. Rods and D.A. Davis learned that the Dr. Fong, or whatever his name is, that prescribes her medication, has been unalived. And so that's kind of something that they're going to be pursuing as well to try to pin to her. So this is new stuff that's coming up, and he's telling her, like, girl, lay down, lay low until we can get this thrown out, so we can, figure out the next move. And so she's like, I do my best. I ain't going to promise this, but I do what I can. Okay. She does call Doc in to give him a little monetary thank you for the lab tech situation. And he doesn't really want to take her money, but, boy, you better take that money. Pretty much. Take the money and go. You've earned it. All right. Babyface breaks into the locker room, and he's looking for Quincy's locker. Like, he is jacking Rashawn up, and he's like, I'll break your face if you don't tell me. And Rashawn's standing 10 toes down, even though he's scary as hell. He's standing 10 toes down, and he's like, I ain't telling you nothing. So he runs out of the dressing room. I'm sure to go warn Quincy about what's happening back there. And Babyface starts taking a sledgehammer, a axe, whatever he has. He's breaking all the lockers until he finds the pictures of himself in Quincy's locker. And he realized that Quincy has been stalking him for a while. And Blue runs into him on the way out, and he tells her, like, hey, I'm about to unalive this dude. Like, he on some old weird gay stuff, and I don't play that. And Blue's like, no, you're not. You're not about to do that at all. You can do that, like, once y'all clock out or whatever. But we already got enough heat at the club, so I need you to chill. Now, of course, sounds good, but with Babyface, by the end of the episode, that went in one ear and out the other, because he did exactly the opposite in the club when it comes to fighting and getting vengeance. So, yeah, it didn't make a difference. Okay. Trouble has moved on to trying to sell Molly and, different drug paraphernalia to the girls out in the line. Like, hey, if you want to enhance your night, you want to enhance your party, hit me up. I got what you need, baby. And she's trying to do anything to get this rent money up. And Rashawn's scary ass sees her, and he's like, well, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing that. Madam has a no tolerance drug policy here at Eden. And she's like, well, who gonna tell her? Who gonna check me, boo? If you know that reference, drop it in the comments. Either way, he has to let Madam know about what Trouble's doing. And somehow or another, Trouble is able to talk him out of snitching. Even though if he knows how the code goes inside the club, he should snitch for his own safety, but whatever. Rashawn he's so scary. Like, I don't even know. If somebody asked him about what happened to Tandy's husband, he probably snitched himself out, but I don't think anybody's on his trail anymore, at least as far as I've seen so far. Either way, very scary, very much whiny. Okay. Diamond's at the club, like I said, throwing up all over the place. She thinks that they used too much bleach when they were cleaning the club, and Blue's like, well, no, it doesn't smell like that much bleach, like no more than normal. That's not it. And she's like, okay, well, can you cover me while I run to the bathroom? And so now we get to make the assumption that Dime is with Child. So Dime and Amp, aggravating 2.0, are with Child. I just can't be bothered, because it's going to be a shit show, and I don't have the energy for it. So we're going to move on. At the end of the night, Quincy's still out doing Babyface, bringing in way more cash than Babyface has been bringing in recently. And Babyface, and he's kind of gloating about it. And Babyface, he can't wait another second, and he punches Quincy out. Like they fight and they tussling there, everybody trying to break him up. And Quincy's trying to explain. He's like, yeah, you all, I don't know, let's just call them some gay slurs, things to that effect. And Quincy's like, listen, there's a story. I can tell you what happened. I can give you what you need. Just give me a second. Like, he's still pounding on Quincy. And he's like, listen, I'm trying to explain to you, like, what's really going on, what the real reason is. And finally, they break them up, and Quincy presents him with the test results. And the test results being that he is, in fact, 99.99% that baby's daddy. So it turns out Quincy is Babyface's son. He's the pappy of that boy. And that is why Quincy had to get the underwear, to get the DNA, to get the test, and the pictures. He's been, is it stalking? Maybe not stalking. He's been admiring his dad from afar, waiting on the opportunity to get to confront with the information like, hey, I'm your son. You may have forgotten about somebody, but I'm your son. And I'm also here dancing. All right. Okay, so that has been the episode. Let me know what you think about it. Let's talk about it in the comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.